Welcome to Visual Inverse 2024. We are overwhelmed by the enthusiasm that has come to us for this. Literally overwhelmed. We scraped up every chair we could find. So it is, I hope that those who are seated, or those who need seats, literally need seats, we're happy to accommodate you if somebody will give a seat up. I just have a few opening remarks, and then we're going to start our reading. And we have 22 poets who have responded to 22 pieces of artwork in the Fall Juried Art Show. And weren't we lucky to have so many amazing pieces to choose from? We thank the artists. We thank you. For giving us the opportunity to respond to your beautiful work. And none of this would be possible without the hands of many. And you'll see in the acknowledgments page of the book, names are named. But I'd like to give a shout out to a few people in particular. Carol Marshall. When we came to Carol with this idea, she embraced it, and she rode on the train with us to this destination. And she did it with good humor and grace, and I'm telling you, we needed good humor and grace some days, but it's just an amazing result. I'd also like to mention John Holgerson, our poet. John has been with Poetry, the Art of Words, which is our monthly reading series, almost since its inception 20 years ago. And he has been a stalwart of Poetry, the Art of Words, and of this Visual Inverse event. And I know that all the phones are silenced, right? Thank you. He read early drafts of poems. He helped on the committee figuring out the timing from selection to delivery here at the center. He even worked as our human tape dispenser the other day. He was wearing his RBG sweatshirt, and he was covered with double-sided tape because we needed to quickly put up the poems. So we were tearing at John's chest all afternoon. And he let us. So thank you, John. Today's reception could not be made possible without the hospitality committee, who have gone above and beyond. So I want to thank Nancy Markley and Ann Humphrey. So when you have a chance, as you're walking through the galleries, if you run into them, please say hello and say thank you. And last but not least, I want to thank someone who is not here. I personally am so grateful to Jack Scully, who helped Mike Amato found Poetry, the Art of Words back in the early 2000s and welcomed me into the fold. Jack saw the potential for magic in this marrying of visual and literary arts back in 2014. Wherever you are, Jack, you started something wonderful. And now, a slideshow and poems. And it's in alphabetic order, so it should be pretty easy to follow along.
Right, Miriam, thank you. Alphabetical order. I was always first in school to give show and tell, give my essays in high school, etc. So this is the portrait that I chose. Its title is Stephen, and it's actually in the corner over here, and I just found out the other day when I came in that it won second place in drawing and pastels. Is Tony Visco here, the artist? No, Stephen, the model. That's probably good. Turn on your heart light in the middle of a young boy's dream. Don't wake me up too soon. Gonna take a ride across the moon, you and me. 1982, Neil Diamond was inspired by the movie E.T., and he wrote that song. E.T. was directed and produced by none other than Steven Spielberg. When I first saw this portrait, I thought it was Steven Spielberg on a windy day. I also noticed that the artist is a friend of mine, Tony Visco. I contacted Tony. There he is. Hi, Tony. I contacted Tony and said, is this supposed to be Steven Spielberg? And he said, no, this is a friend of mine whose name is Steven. And I went, duh, PH versus the V in Steven. I had the wrong one. Artist Portrait. The title of this poem goes both ways. Artist depicting artist. Not a foreign idea. 1875, Auguste portrayed his friend Claude. 1886, Edgar portrayed Edward. 1888, Paul portrayed Vincent. Here, P. Anthony Visco, better known as Tony, portrays his friend Stephen. He captured him in carbon mineral known as graphite, a medium that Leonardo used in the 1500s. Singer Sargent used in 1884, Chuck Close, 1986. Material capable of delicate lines like those found in this precision portrait. This drawing's meticulous detail conveys emotion, captures essence in realistic rendering. Stephen's bulbous forehead face is encircled by a corona of long, wild, white, wispy hair. From behind circular, wire-rimmed glasses, he peeks up directly at his friend with a wide, toothy, giggling smile. In classic portrait style, head and shoulders only, the artist has skillfully revealed the mood and personality of this cock-headed character I would love to meet for social conversation and perhaps, if appropriate, to offer my comb. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Birch, and I'm reading a poem inspired by Mark O'Connell. I don't know if Mark is here, but Mark has an amazing photograph called Crimson Swirl, won first place in that gallery. And my poem is called Through the Crimson Swirl. The offshore mist of a sober summer swallows mistaken expectations as a small bud within my body swells against its sepals. Unable to trace the teary streams of a self dissipating, my calloused mind peels to reveal the raw underbelly of nothing knowing, new as you will soon be. Chin to the sun, I let my soft petals push up and out, fall like the silk nightgown of a waking soul. We are all pulled from the earth and dying. Come winter, I will forget, wildflower whispers, how I leaned closer, eyes closed, desperate, decayed. The immolation of this season will give way to new growth. Through the crimson swirl of my smolder, I will see your edges unfurl and no longer need my own. Thank you.
Stephen Howard? Devotes. I forgot to ask, so I will do that. Stephen couldn't come. He had a family emergency. So just pretend I'm a tall, handsome 40-something. I know you can do it. This is Stephen Delbos, Homeward Bound after the photograph, Homeward Bound. Sails are veils for ghosts of wind. Timber interns the life of trees. Ships are vehicles of further. Travelers push against boundaries of death and destination. Every journey a wish for a future less frail. Pilgrimage leaves a trail of breath floating over earth and ocean.
Good afternoon. My name is Glyn Dowden, and I'm going to read a poem. The photograph was by John Altman, called Ethereal, and it reminded me of the problems that we have today, and especially when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2023. It reminded me that life goes on no matter what. This poem is called Untouched. There are 5 cherry trees adorned with pink blossoms in my garden, radiant and smiling, relishing the sun, perhaps unaware of me and my admiration. Love is like that in spring. There are bombs and guns over there, a place unknown to me where people die, scream at the sky, perhaps unaware of me when burying their dead. Hate is like that in spring. Snow swallows innocence, buds shed blood, rain brings tears, grackles attack crows, sparrows hide among branches, the lone hawk eyes a victim. Renewal is like that in spring. Among the blossoms pink, then cherries red, uncontested, I rest, observing the spectacles as bombs fall until leaves fall and birds fly away.
Hi everyone, I'm Ed Gaudet, and I am covering the photograph Old Pier at Sunrise. I make reference to 2 Sumerian gods, Enki, the god of creation and water, and Utu, the god of the sun and of justice. And my poem is called Old Pier at Sunset. Old Pier at Sunset. When you first see it, there you think, road to nowhere, teeth of Enki waiting for Utu to paint sky justice. Queer order appears, county fair colors on vellum skin ocean, sweet geometry spaces summer's death. Did I find you, or you find me? Emptiness is mourned from form, pegs the mad poet. These pagan markers petrify slowly. This ghastly bridge sees into life of things, hopscotch innocence, piercing moon trauma. I'm still waiting. I can't take much more. It's all about the sex these days, pile down the X. I never know these days if I'm coming or if I'm going. You know, by the dying. Thanks.
Going to bring it down about 2 feet. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. There were so many paintings and photographs, sculptures, and the one you see before you is the one that resonated most with me. And I think that if you know me, really know me, then at the core, this is who I believe I am. Inspired to imagine and to be creative and always kind of live outside the lines that somebody has drawn for us. The name of the painting is Hold On to Your Dreams, and I don't know if the artist is here. Can I see you? I don't see you. Hi, is it Donna Goes or Goez? Okay, Donna Goes, there she is. Okay. Hold on to your dreams. I consider it an important matter not to listen to petty chatter, but rather dream unafraid of all I am, a brave soul willing to take a stand. Some may laugh at 3 tall boulders high atop my head, or run from my mythical friend who walks about on metal legs. I'm not just a curious soul, sporting pink-cuffed jeans and a velvet coat dyed sunlight blue and emerald green. I am the Pied Piper of dreamscapes. Come, follow me, down to the majestic blue circle sea, and rest a bit on papier-mâché rocks as I paint life glorious outside the box. Thank you.
What a wonderful turnout. This is amazing. So I chose this absolutely beautiful photograph of a harvest moon. The title is called Pure Gold, and it's by Lydia Kaneff. Is she somewhere in the audience? Hello. So the only other perhaps reference you might need to know is Artemis was the huntress, and she was pure of heart and pure of deed, and she was the Greek goddess for the moon, I believe. Anyway, harvest your disbelief, no bitter taste, no rules. You may worship her, sing to her, croon. She is your lady. You may hunt as Aramis did under her guise. Thread your arrow now. Gentle, proud lady, aim. Our darkness has its own rewards. Pure augury illuminates your upturned face. Defined desire yields no base metal. Pursue, hunt, power, refined, polished, burnished, resplendent, so pure, worship her. One night's madness, 2. Gathering yarrow and thyme, planting hope deep beside a white pine. Hold fast, releasing such delicious golden profusion upon our waiting earth. Thank you.
Wow, it's amazing seeing all you folks here. I'm so happy that you all came. My poem is about this picture, which ironically is of the Northern Lights in Iceland. And I say ironically because my son just celebrated a recent birthday in Iceland, and Iceland has always been on the top 6 list of places that I wanted to go to. So this has very personal meaning for me. So this poem is called Rhapsody in Reykjavik. Actually, better without my glasses. Billowy green tufts of cotton candy coat the sweet night sky. A world of waterfalls, think gull floss. In a land of fire and ice, what planet is this? It sits on the edge of the Arctic Circle, but you never know it. Unspoiled nature at its best. I can close my eyes and see fierce Viking longships. Did they wade into black sand beaches too? I can walk between lava fields and geothermal pools. Where else can you do that? And there is a light show like nothing else. Aurora Borealis, a dance in the sky. It happens every night, like a moving curtain of light, only for a few minutes. Since 2600 BC. I look for reds and greens. Is it not the safest and happiest place? Reykjavik, here I come. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm John Holgerson, and I want to start by thanking Miriam for her kind words about me earlier. But the reality of it is, without Miriam's efforts over the last nearly a decade, and through her efforts now as Poet Laureate of Plymouth, Mass., Poetry, the Art of Words continues to maintain itself and survive, and that in itself is an accomplishment worthy of a round of applause for Miriam. The photograph I chose is by Rick Branscombe. Is Rick Branscombe here? Oh, he is. Okay. When I saw the photograph, I thought I saw a story there in the photograph, and that's why I selected it. But I had no idea what that story would actually turn out to be. So shortly after I selected it, I turned to my wife, Robin, and I asked her what she thought of the photograph. And she said, "You should write a romantic poem." Robin and I have been married for more than 40 years, and I have learned, I'm a slow learner, but I have learned during that time that her advice and her suggestions are well worth following. I got stuck about halfway through the first draft, so I thought I'd go online and see if I could find anything out about the photograph. I learned that it recently had won first prize at the Cape Cod Art Gallery for street photography, and that Rick Branscombe had, among many other accomplishments, taught writing for nearly 4 decades. So I felt the pressure increasing, and now that he's here, it's even ratcheted up that much more. In the quiet heart of night, outside the silent confines of a closed library, where the street curves inward, creating a wide concrete smile, some wooden chairs with light tables await a late after dark oasis. Alone in the quiet heart of night, beneath the brightest lamplight, she sits on a chair near a tall oak tree. She sees the small white scar on its trunk. She smiles at the hewn heart-shaped tattoo, empty of letters that might betray the lovers, empty as the chair where he once sat. She places a blue book on the table in front of that abandoned seat. Using a slender yellow ribbon, she flips it open to Yeats's poem about a brown penny. She hears him reciting those wistful words while his deft fingers loop themselves in her auburn curls. Then he is gone. She opens a gray book of Dickinson's poems, finds the one about solitude and loneliness, for that is where she is at this moment, in the very caverns and corridors of her soul, trying to prevent the inevitable erosion of memory, wanting always to remember his touch, his voice, his laughter, along the length of time we call forever. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jean Creeling. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much to Miriam for organizing the poetry side of this. And thank you to this artist whose name I fear I'll mispronounce. I have not met him. Daniel Gart. Daniel Gart, thank you. My poem is a double sonnet which takes its title from the painting. House on the Gurnet. It has good bones, and so do we, we're told, although this salt-lashed house stands somewhat straighter than we do. And the truth is, we're too old to stay out here, our need for doctors greater than we like to admit. We ought to be near drugstores, friends to call for help, paved roads, along which we could drive more easily, as our health, like the nearby shore, erodes. We sold the boat 3 years ago. Our daughter spends less time here each summer. We don't swim or fish, and every storm brings higher water, our sandy margins increasingly slim. We'll sell. The place will fetch a decent price, but any deal will be a sacrifice. We're certain in our bones this sacrifice makes sense. Let someone else take on repairs, replace the windows, and seek out advice about the wind-whipped roof. Time's rigor spares no mortal and no shingle, all go gray. But in our seasons here, time's given more than it has taken. It's painted the bay uncounted blues, brought gull song to our door, elicited the sweet stink of low tide, grown only grass too spiky wild for mowing, and taught the house to creak in dignified rapport with us. So yes, we'll soon be going, but we'll take with us memories accrued through years that filled our bones with gratitude. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lee Mendenhall, and I also want to thank everybody who worked to bring this wonderful event to life. And I also want to thank the artist. Is she here? It's Kelly Conlon. I want to thank her and ask a couple of questions, but really thank her for blowing some sparks out of the old embers of creativity here. The name of my poem is Step by Step. Is gray a color? I prefer what's on my cell phone, not the place I'm going. Nothing bright ahead as far as I can see. What can I post that makes me look successful? Who would want to see me if I took a selfie? Would my face look gray? I hardly ever dream in color anymore. It's only gray or black and white. Anxiety, like something hanging over me, I sense, without being able to look upward. I draw my handbag closer, slow my heart. Left, right, stand straight, focus frontward, noticing the horizontal metal segments rolled down to store the darkness, open to reveal the binaries in iteration, ones and zeros, rows and columns on the plane of calculation. By what right does art or force reach out to animate the drab, inert, near lifeless black and white? Bewildered Adam almost dared to touch the offered hand of God in Michelangelo's creation. Now that thumb and finger seem set to pluck a chance descendant, centuries removed, but no, the moment is frozen. We would be made blind before we'd see the touch.
Hello, everybody. This is kind of an amazing sight to look over this crowd. My name is Brian Mosier. I'm thrilled to see so many people here I don't know. Also, my family and some friends, so thank you, everybody. This piece, it's not a painting. If you get a chance, it's at the top of the stairs. I don't know if the artist Becky Haletke is here or not. It's multimedia. It's cloth and wood and metal and I assume glue and some paint, and it's kind of amazing. But what drew me to it first is the title spoke to my sense of humor, and then when I looked a little closer, I could really smell, I thought, and hear what was going on inside there. And so this is called, as the painting is, as the piece of art is, Eat Here, Get Gas. Crushed stone crunches under rubber tires, signal bell rings once, then again, as a pair of overalls, Billy, stitched on the chest patch, asks, "Fill it? Check the oil? How's the coffee?" I nod toward the door. Strong enough to defend itself. Grin drier than gravel. Inside, air thick with sweet maple syrup, sizzling pork fat, and coffee. Nutty and bitter and welcoming coffee, already filling a mug for me before the door has closed behind me, hair the color and shape of an Egyptian pyramid balanced precariously. She's shouting into the kitchen, "Crack a pair, keep 'em sunny, hash and toast, don't burn it." Her voice holds everything that's ever been worthwhile, the inside of the world in her eyes. Her patch, to match Billy's, Grace, fits her as well as her dress once did, before life filled her and damn near killed her as it does. I settle on a stool, cracked plastic over too thin cushion. "Let me have some pancakes and bacon." Grace hollers to the chef, "I need a stack, 3 strips on the side. And tell Horace that Ford needs an oil change when he finishes washing the dishes." It could be 30 miles outside of Bangor, or deep in Appalachia, a swamp west of Tallahassee, or a mile high on the road out of Denver. The only difference, the roundness of the vowels, the temperature of the morning air. Eat here, get gas, a joke as old as beans, as true as biscuits and gravy, as honest as Billy and Grace. A stop here refuels more than your car. Never pass up a chance to be filled.
Do you think we had fun reading these poems ahead of time? I'd like to thank Lorraine Agri for her beautiful painting. Flora series. And this is my response to seeing it. The wife considers her dream. Were we in or on water, floating among green stalks or turquoise clouds, and those plush pinks, that pale net of light? Was it the sturgeon moon rising, or morning's first flush fading on a frilled plait of Queen Anne's lace, its one violet eye fixed on blue flag iris shadows? You loved how the fraught sunlit wall squared the space, its splash of silence. Those slant dark lines, were they Ariel's wings or Sappho's swift sparrows? Just yesterday, the jonquil's green spikes bent toward summer. And soon enough, beloved, the world will have us by our throats. So let us rest a moment here, mid-blush in our unpedaling, before day shears the ethereal of its truth. Thank you.
Hi, this is just so lovely. I'm so grateful to be here in this beautiful space. Oh, you beautiful people. I'm grateful to Daniel Collins, whom I haven't met, and I don't know if he's here. Daniel. I'm grateful for his photo, a girl on the beach. We see a girl on a beach, a universal child, crouched spellbound on the sand as earth gifts her with its wilderness. The way she touches treasures with one hand, haloed at noon inside her own holy land, sings to us of what ought never be forgotten. This single child, curved spellbound on the sand, shows us how each moment can expand. Surrounded by light, like Blake's babe in eternity, she holds the world in a grain of sand. Her left hand grasps what she has amassed, accepting and keeping what she has discovered. Viewing this child held in one perfect moment tells us what she deserves and demands. Our attention to the boundlessness everywhere. Earth needs each of us to open our hands, to see what we find, embrace what we can, to find the rightness in whatever part of whatever is, to be like this sunlit girl, enthralled on the sand, as she touches our earth with her hands. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Jen Pipp, and the piece of work that I chose was Osprey Moon Silhouette, and it's by Constance. Connie Mellahorse, and she is here. This has been a summer of many symbols, and two of them for me were definitely the birds, especially the osprey and the moon. So when I saw this piece right away, it resonated with something quite deep. Although there's so much beautiful art, and just the power of nature to heal, the power of art to heal, the power of community. I just am so grateful to this community that's held together, and that everyone's given a voice and a chance to participate. And part of participating and healing one another is listening. So this audience is so beautiful. Thank you all for being here and listening. So this, funnily enough, is called Social Media Inquiry, Where Have You Been? I know, right? It's kind of the other side, but maybe it's part of this all too. So Social Media Inquiry, Where Have You Been? I was tucked under the wing of an osprey, learning the language of the night, plucking narrow advice of strangers from angry flesh, keeping time with the algorithm of the sky. allowing the ocean in my eye to well up, warm and heavy, roundness tipping, then spilling, releasing toxic youth, inventing tremors of regret to pulse into the electric earth, remembering the illusion of time can't slice when allowed to bend. If moments fell linear, what came before was escaping the tangled remains of my body, gripping into the hardened darkness, the relentless liquid of my spirit spilling into higher ground. Uncertainty hovering as I evaporated into strange walls acquired for this very purpose. I could tell you what came even before, if before still mattered, but it doesn't. Magnetic migrations have erased enough to know. I can tell you what comes after because now I am certain. The creatures of the night are etched into my edges, beckoning the sun to spill life everywhere, holding space like blossoms, fragrant with music, no longer afraid.
What a wonder to be here and participate as part of the multifaceted artistic conversation. Both our speaking, the artistic renderings, and your listening. This sculpture is in the back corner, and it's called Young Friends, and it's by Jory Mason. I don't think she's here, but I've had the joy of emailing with her. So this is Elephant and Bird, responding to Jory Mason's 2024 sculpture, Young Friends. What might a baby elephant and a bird have to teach? With wrinkles and wings, a tender trunk and a beckoning beak, themselves at home on the African continent. Meanwhile, humans engaged in scientific study or art rendition notice how a red-beaked oxpecker, all of 8 inches long and weighing a mere 2 ounces, companions a young elephant's 200+ pounds, catching there a free ride so as to feast upon tiny pests, a splendid symbiosis created by difference. One might even call it a friendship arrangement, minute and magnanimous, from tip of trunk to tip of beak. Displaying a truth voiced by an American sage, a friend may well be reckoned the masterpiece of nature. May the young always be schooled to see and be this elephant in the room.
Hello, I'm Lisa Sullivan. Wow, this crowd is huge. Thank you for coming. Great turnout. I don't know if my artist is here. Martin Ballman? No? When I saw this piece, I wanted to be in that water, and that's took me on the journey of this poem. It's called The Other Side. In your new kayak, you encounter a bridge you've crossed over many times. Its concrete block battlement half swallowed by ivy, late afternoon sun burnishing the landscape in pastel hues. But you've never been below, under the cool echo, the damp arch, graffiti-less, unscalable, gaping at you with its awestruck mouth. The lazy current ushers you into shadow where you linger, try to remember the last time you felt this content being alone. On the other side, the river trickles down to a stream so narrow the switchgrass tickles your elbows as you nudge the banks with your paddle. It is second summer in October. Scents of aging fescue and tussock sedge lie heavy on the air. A sleepy bee searches. You know that soon painted leaves will fill this stream. Soon it will freeze. The horizon line dips before you into the unknown. You paddle toward it.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Thanis, and I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all for coming. This is amazing. And I just wanted to thank Miriam. She was talking about poetry, the art of words, which I also value. But I value very much that she has started again visual in verse. The photograph that I selected is called Frog Prince by Donna DeSantis. Is Donna here? Well, I just love this. I love this photo. And if you want to see the real thing, you have to climb up to the second floor and go right way on the back. But it's worth it. Redeemed. Hello, Mr. Frog. Your smiling mouth and shining eyes show me you're friendly. Is it true that you dove into a well, grasped the golden ball, and returned it to the self-seeking princess who had dropped it? Surely she could not have found it herself in the murky water, even if she had deigned to get wet. I quite like you as you are, but if Grimm's tale's true, you have a more princely prospect. I am glad the king would not let his haughty daughter deceive you. You ate from her plate, slept on her pillow briefly, until she either flung you at the wall in disgust or, less likely, kissed you. Nevertheless, you changed shape, became a handsome prince. Whatever she did, I am happy for you and for your loyal servant Heinrich, who had iron bands binding his heart until they shattered when the witch's spell that had doomed you was broken. Now, as I look at your face, I know your future is golden.
I'm sitting on the wrong side.
That's you all over.
Hello, my name is Sheila Twyman. And the photograph is from the beach that I go to every day in the summertime, Peggotty Beach. Is the photographer here? No? Oh, okay. As you can see from the photographs, the legs are long, very delicate. You used to walk under them or sit under them in the summertime for the shade. You don't dare walk under them anymore. They're very fragile. Survivors. The last of the old summer shacks stand precariously on their long, fragile legs. Pigeons nest in the rafters beneath. Squawking seagulls settle on the peaked roofs. These old ladies of the beach have witnessed red, orange, yellow, and peaked skies on the horizon, and they've grown under ruthless hurricane winds and raging seas with 25-foot waves. They remember young sailors patrolling the beach during a long war to prevent enemy infiltration. They remember the spread of Irish moss on sand for days, drying from dark red to brown to white. Summers were always the best of times, with the raucous shouts and laughter of children, running around with spindly legs playing tag. They made the old ladies happy. Now the houses are cold with the silence of desertion. Tides are rising higher, and the ladies list to port. They know their end is near and do not want to leave. The sighing that you hear is not the sea.
Thank you. I chose this black and white photo by Joshua Adelson because it invoked a kind of fluid foreboding, and that I paralleled with a poem by Sylvia Plath, so it's a mood. Late train. All morning, the morning has been blackening. Sheep and fog, Sylvia Plath. The geranium bends its chin to shadows, slowly, slowly, on the open sill. One bloom descends. Last visit, a bud strained for breath toward the screened sunlight, its red stepping off to shadow. I meant to call, but the dank sheets gasped for the mountain's breath, and the cracked weeds begged uprooting, or nothing would come of it. Still, we could have ventured south, toward the bristled hills, where the light steps off into fog, and the beaten grasses lean, rusted bells ting in the tangle of leathered halters. Dolorous, you might have hummed, the train's whistle, an afternoon puffing smoke, tinting the gray day grayer. How this sad riff deepens like legend. If only we had boarded the late train, south to the sea, east to the Alps, we might have shared the awful stare of olives and the skin of grapes. Wine, the brilliance of a broken geranium.
Hey everyone, my name is Mark Walsh. It's not actually Mark Walsh. This photograph, Winter Owl, is by Bonnie Tate, who I met when I walked in the door today, and she saw my name tag, and she said, "Oh, I'm so grateful that Mark asked you to read his poem about this." And later, Miriam said, "Yep, Mark said that he asked you to read the poem." Mark didn't ask me, but I'll take that up with him later. I'm happy to do this for Mark, who is a good friend of mine. It's a beautiful photograph, Winter Owl, and Mark's poem is named "The Occasion for This Art." O for owl, O for outrageous, O for the O-shaped face that frames observant eyes and omnifying beak. Alone, perched in the open private of a winter's hunt, balanced on brambles as if all life is a dare, black-yellow glare, aware of all motion and the powerful lens that stares back. How many hunters to a gray field? How many eyes on how much prey? Be thankful those black-yellow eyes look through you. O is for owl, O is for other, O is for the opaque eye that snares that obelisk, the occasion for this art.
My name is Joyce Wilson. I'm the last reader, but I'm reminded of the saying that one day the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I was inspired by this photograph by Robert Lila, who's over here, whom I just met. And I love the quality of blacks and whites and the sense of sky. And I wanted to connect, I feel this really connects me with Plymouth. I live in Situate, but this connects me with Plymouth. Pilgrims at rest. In the photograph, the monotones express a harmony of light, dramatic hues smoldering in black and white and gray. That brief moment when afternoon sunlight appears through sudden openings in clouds to usher in a prelude to the night. The gravestones stand upright in the textured ground, their shaded backs against us, difficult to read the portents in their darkened backs. Their sunlit sides bear the inscriptions, proud with proper names and dates, some sacred phrases, some inscrutable in the weather's wear. Their faces turned away from us, we trace their gaze and find the cloudy breast of sky, its downy feathers ruffled up in hues of gray on gray or white on white, like plumage heaving, the exertion of its wings almost something we can touch, a warmth. These ordered stones maintain communal bonds, our forebears now at rest, their spirits wrapped up in an eternal paradise. But what of us? We breathe in as we look, and then a shard of bright illuminance enters us, and we are sorely changed. Thank you very much. And I just want to add that the organization that went into this, the booklet, the program, all of it was just tremendous. And I am in awe and admiration of Miriam and others who worked on this. Thank you.
I just wanted to say a few words. I'm Carol Marshall, and I'm with the Plymouth Center for the Arts. What I witnessed today was a ballet. I heard music. I saw a pas de deux between the poet and the artist, and it was just a glorious, glorious afternoon. I want to thank you all so much for coming, and I hope you'll come back. And before you leave, I hope you can take a look at all the art. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be quick. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to this person who made it possible for Poetry, the Art of Words to be here and to create this. Go and be well.